The developers of Rise of Kingdoms just directly responded to a lot of your guys' feedback, including questions about KVK and the new War Frenzy limit. So today we're going to dive into the latest face-to-face with the developers and figure out what is coming next for Rise of Kingdoms. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, before we jump in, of course, as you guys know, I am a sponsored partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms. So if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content and breaking news, click the like button and subscribe down below. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right in here. This was posted at 4:30 this morning over on the official Rise of Kingdoms Discord. Greetings, Governor. Welcome to another edition of Community Suggestions Developer Feedback. Oh, okay. So this actually isn't technically another face-to-face with the developers. This is just them kind of responding to a lot of our concerns or questions about the actual game. Let's jump into the first one here. Officer whitelist, automatic R4 upon rejoining Alliance. Please add a way to set a player's role to R4 when they join the Alliance. My R4s are constantly having to leave the Alliance briefly to do things, and it's become quite the hassle to have to get pinged in Discord every time to promote them to R4 again. This is super true. This happens in every kingdom, in every alliance. I'm kind of surprised that this isn't in the game already, but their answer is, thank you for your suggestion. We will add the officer whitelist feature, which will automatically assign a player their original role when they rejoin the Alliance. That is fantastic. Easy fix, uncontroversial. Everyone loved this. Off to a great start. Okay, let's see if that continues with the second thing. Oh, okay. We are jumping right in here. War Frenzy limit related issues. So for those of you that don't know, they are currently pioneer testing a War Frenzy limit where there is a 16-hour War Frenzy limit. They've directly come out and said that this is an attempt or at least some component of their strategy to tackle piloting. Lots of you probably didn't even know that this was a thing because you don't play the game that much, but there are people that have been complaining about this new pilot feature. So let's see what they have to say. The system is overly complex. The learning curve for players is very high, making it hard to intuitively judge playable time. The reality of fragmented rest is not considered. During KVK, players often take fragmented breaks, making it difficult to guarantee a full 8-hour offline period. The new mechanism instead forces players to find pilots to avoid wasting the valuable 16-hour battle window. Players' offline time should also count towards mandatory rest rather than being ignored by the system. It is recommended to adopt a more intuitive frenzy bar, turning a war frenzy into a mechanic similar to the AP bar so players can clearly see consumption and recovery, avoiding complex calculations. War frenzy time tracking should be visible in the battle interface, allowing players to see remaining time and recovery status in real time during combat. And this is feedback that I think a lot of people have had for this feature. I think it was when it was implemented, I do think that it wasn't super intuitive as to how the system actually worked, and without a very transparent way of knowing exactly how much time you've spent in War Frenzy and how the entire rest system even works and how it's calculated, I do think that a lot of people have had this feedback for the War Frenzy limit. Okay, let's see what they had to say. Thank you for your suggestion, and we sincerely apologize that the experience did not meet your expectations. The War Frenzy limit is still in its testing phase, and we will be optimizing it in the near future. Planned improvements include better visibility of War Frenzy time tracking while taking consideration of players' fragmented breaks, allowing governors to recover from the recovery status sooner. We look forward to your continued feedback. Now, this is, I mean, I talked about this in a video not that long ago, but this response is actually super predictable, right? And in that video I mentioned, like, look, this is in a testing phase, right? You are pioneer testing a feature. You can't just expect that they're going to implement the feature, it's going to be perfect on day one, and then as soon as there's a little bit of feedback, they're going to scramble to delete it. It's like, that, come on, like, that's obviously not what's going to happen here. So what they've said here is that they are actually planning to change it to basically exactly reflect what this person put in their suggestion, right? Better visibility of War Frenzy time tracking and taking consideration of players' fragmented breaks, allowing them to recover from the recovery status sooner. I think that's an improvement. It sounds like an improvement here. Obviously there's like 25 people that are not happy with this answer. I think this is the minority of people we've been talking about regarding this feature who, like, they don't like this and they just want them to delete it, right? Which maybe they will, right? And that's the other thing about these pioneer tests is, like, they're gonna run the test for a sufficient amount of time to gain enough data, and if they look at the data and they're like, okay, yeah, this is not achieving our goals, this is just doing more harm than good, we'll just delete it, right? Obviously that could be the outcome, but one of the data points that they're probably not tracking is number of negative Discord messages, right? Like, that's completely divorced from their goal of what they're trying to achieve here, right? So we'll have to wait and see. And really, I don't actually have any insider information about this system at all, right? Like, I don't actually know what their success versus failure data points look like, right? Like what are they actually tracking on the back end to determine, is this war frenzy limit a success versus failure, right? Like I don't actually know what that looks like. I know I'm a sponsored creator, but surprise, surprise, we don't actually have insider information on stuff like that. So all that to say, if we just use a little bit of logic here, we can assume that there are data points, they are tracking them, and if this system moves things in the direction that they want them to go in, they're going to fine tune the system and keep it in place. If the data shows that this is not helping whatsoever, then they're just going to delete the system and move on and be like, hey, thanks for testing out this new thing, it didn't meet our expectations, sorry that it sucks, and that's it, right? And that's really how this is going to go. And like, of course they have to do it that way, right? Like imagine they're looking on the back end and they're like, wow, average player playtime went down by 2%, but the success metric that we're tracking has been improved by 15%. It's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then the system's actually working, right? Now again, that's a hypothetical, I have no idea. It could be the case that this entire system is failing on the back end, I have no idea, right? But again, obviously they're tracking data points. If they see that a majority of players aren't even affected by this, then the 25 downvotes that they're getting here is kind of negligible, right? But anyway, all that to say, they are making improvements to the war frenzy limit, and we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for this system, because again, I do know there are some people that are very negative towards this system, and so hopefully this improvement helps, and if it pushes things in the right direction, fantastic. If it doesn't, hopefully after a certain amount of time they just get rid of the system if it's not working, right? I mean, like, let's just be honest, if this system is not achieving their goal, then like what's the point in even having it, right? I will say though, it is still so funny that we are actually like talking about a video game where we are arguing about letting players play the game for 16 hours in a day. Like, the raw community is a very special community in the gaming scene, that's for sure. This is not a problem that basically any other video game ever has. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing here. Fortress leaderboard. I think it would be amazing if people could see a fort leaderboard within the alliance rankings on who has the most forts done in a month to keep track of activity and who is participating the most. Thank you for your suggestion. We will be adding a fortress leaderboard, which is currently under development. Please stay tuned for future updates. That is huge. You'll love to see this. This is going to be awful for me when my kingdom and alliance leaders see that I do very little forts, but who am I kidding? They already know because they already track those things. All y'all slackers like me, we're in trouble soon. Okay, next up, in-game reports management. Implementing a reports manager like feature that can manage reports by pairs and extract data to get insightful data in game. It can even be tied to the new commander strategies section, feeding it with valuable data about how pairs perform for other players. So what they're talking about is this little book up here in the top right corner. It gives you commander strategies. It tells you like who to pair them with and kind of like the best like equipment and all this other stuff. So it also tells you to just use all 4 special inscriptions. Yeah, just go ahead and use all 4 special inscriptions. Okay, got it, guys. Let me get right on that. Yeah, anyway, I agree. I think this is a fantastic suggestion. I think getting more data on how commanders are performing for players is a really good thing, right? Because I think there's a lot of disparity in the community when we talk about, like, you know, I've made videos at this point, it's like a year ago, talking about how like Nevsky is kind of, you know, his time is kind of over, and then in the comments I've got people saying, oh well, Nevsky's still, you know, working really well for me, right? And so I think if we had an in-game report manager that would track that data, it would be really cool to see like, okay, well actually if you're in like an A seed kingdom or an Imperium kingdom, Nevsky trades, you know, 1-to-1 or worse than 1-to-1, right? But if you're in like a B seed kingdom, these players are getting like a 1.5-to-1 trade ratio, right? Like that would be really cool to be able to compare and contrast between different players. They can come together and share the data and how their commanders are working, and the archer mains can be like, look, this is what my trade ratio is with my Emperor Chin Shijar, and maybe that will influence how the rest of players start investing in archers, and maybe they'll get Shijar. I'm not saying actually do that, but like that's just an example of, you know, some of the things that could come from having more detailed statistics as to how commanders actually work. So let's see what they have to say. A series of updates introducing more advanced features will be coming soon, including trigger effect statistics, keyword searches within battle reports, and reports for specific structures such as flags. Please stay tuned for the patch notes for more details. We will look forward to your feedback. So this is all really cool stuff. This is not exactly what I was just talking about, but this is pretty nice. Trigger effect statistics. So I guess like how often do certain skills proc? Is that going to be in the battle report? That would be pretty cool. Like if it just literally showed it on the sidebar bar or something. Keyword searches is nice, so you can literally search for like, okay, when did I use this skill, when did I use this, you know, Ring of Doom proc, like that type of thing. But all in all, more data here is good, so this is another improvement here. I love to see it. Report pop-up optimization, option to disable report pop-up. As said on the title, give an option to disable the report pop-up thing when fighting zoomed in. Literally 2 or 3 people having it on either side are enough to block your entire vision. I think they're talking about this thing. This is like the new report pop-up thing that shows up on the screen here when you're actually fighting in the open field. Here's their answer. They say, we sincerely apologize for the negative impact on your gameplay experience. We have optimized the battle report display. In addition, we've added a new toggle in combat settings display to reduce multi-battle broadcasts, which should significantly alleviate the issue. That is fantastic, right? Truthfully, I don't really know how many people even like play in zoomed in mode at this point. Like, we're in 2026, who's still playing in zoomed in mode. But anyway, yeah, I can see how that would be super annoying, and they're literally just saying, yeah, we're fixing it, right? So I mean, that's fantastic. We love to see it. That is a good change. I think the only people mad about that are probably the people that like to flex their battle reports, and nobody cares. Okay, so no one cares. Don't force us to look at that. Resource carriages issue. Resource carriages shouldn't be counted as marches. Players should be able to use the carriages the same way they send scouts. It should not fill a march spot. Thank you for your feedback. If resource carriages are not considered to occupy a march slot, they would still require a separate queue for management. Given that the current queue system is already quite full, we are exploring potential optimization solutions. You're also welcome to share any further suggestions. I don't really understand this suggestion at all. Like, when we think about what is the goal of this suggestion, it's like, the goal is to make it easier to send resources to other players while still being able to fight in the open field, I guess. I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't think the developers love the idea that you can send other players resources. I think that they are just, it's a feature that's been implemented in the game for so long. Players are already used to it, and people would absolutely rage if you removed the ability to send resources to other players. So I think they're kind of just stuck with dealing with it. So anything that would make it easier for players to send resources to one another is probably not something the developers are ever going to entertain. Okay, so that's just my assumption on all this. From a logical perspective, I can see where they're coming from, because it's like, you know, if you look at why does an army take up an army slot but a scout doesn't, and the difference there is, well, scouts don't have troops, and they don't have commanders, and they don't have equipment, and they don't have armaments, right? And it's like, okay, well, carriages don't have commanders or troops or equipment or armaments, so logically you would assume that they would not take up an army slot. But also for game balance reasons, I can see why they do. So for me, I don't have any skin in the game when it comes to this one. It doesn't really matter to me that much, so it is what it is. Next up, rewards and events in pre-KVK stage. Pre-KVK in Lost Kingdom, if you want to do it, make it right. Training stage crystals problem. Previously, we earned a significant portion of crystals during the training stage, allowing for a solid start when Lost Kingdom opened. Now, these crystals are only delivered 5 days after the map becomes available. This slows down crystal tech progression, especially for free-to-play and low spenders who rely on those early crystals for their economic tech boost. Suggested solution: remove crystals from the training stage rewards and instead add a day 1 Lost Kingdom event with quests that grant equivalent crystals. These could involve tasks like building, participation milestones, or defeating barbarians, encouraging early active involvement. Lucky Stall event problem. The Lucky Stall event used to align with the training stage, but now it ends before players even start serious training. This design makes the stage more resource draining, which doesn't speed up KVK, it slows it down. Suggested solution: extend or postpone the Lucky Stall event by 2 days so it properly overlaps with the training stage. Marauders or crystals? That's the question. Problem: Marauders have become pointless. Once Lost Kingdom begins, players must focus on defeating barbarians to collect the crystals needed for crystal tech upgrades. There's neither time nor incentive to hunt Marauders anymore. This is true. I noticed this in my current KVK. Suggested solution: make Marauders drop the same amount of crystals as level 41 to 44 barbs. This would make them a viable alternative activity and bring back their relevance in the early Lost Kingdom phase. Heart of Desire event problem. We used to have Heart of Desire event before Zone 5, helping all players get a few extra crystals by completing the crystal quests. With the current timeline, Heart of Desire event seems to be pushed to the 3rd week of KVK, which is annoying. Suggested solution: move it back to how it used to be. Answer: thank you for your suggestions. All right, so they're gonna address all these one by one. Personally, by the way, just to throw in my 2 cents, I didn't love having pre-KVK in Lost Kingdom. It just felt too chaotic. It felt like there was just too much going on. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I actually don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of this specific issue, but for me personally, I liked having pre-KVK because in the off season, I'm a pretty lazy player, right? I log in every day. Obviously I do my dailies and I do the important events that really get you a lot of value, but I'm pretty lazy in the off season. So I like having the pre-KVK as sort of like a little like warm-up phase. It's like, okay, now we're getting back into Rise of Kingdoms mode. We're getting back into being more active than usual and participating. And then once pre-KVK is over, then it's like, okay, boom, we're in Lost Kingdom. We're back. We're jumping in. We're fired up now. That's how I used to see it. And I liked having that little in-between phase where it's, you're not in the off season, but you're not in KVK yet. It's like you got 3 days or whatever of pre-KVK. I like that. Okay, so having it in Lost Kingdom, I don't love it, but let's see what they have to say here. Okay, training stage crystals. We're sorry that we have decided not to implement this change for now, so the training stage rewards remain unchanged. We will continue to monitor player feedback for potential future adjustments. They literally said no. They're like, no, sorry. Lucky Stall event. The event schedule has been updated to properly overlap with the training stage as suggested. Cool. Marauder crystal drop. Adjustments are currently in progress to make Marauder crystal drops equivalent to those of barbarians level 41 to 44. When the Eve of the Crusade and Lost Kingdom events are active at the same time, high level Marauders and Marauder encampments will spawn in the Lost Kingdom. Defeating them will drop crystal items, but will consume more AP. These changes will be applied in future updates. Okay, so it's kind of like a middle ground there. It's like, yeah, we're gonna do what you want, but we're gonna make it cost more. And like, I can kind of see that. I mean, I don't love it, to be honest with you, but I can see why, because they're like, okay, well, not only are you getting the increased rewards of the Marauders, but now you're getting crystals. So it's kind of like you're getting a 2-for-1. Like, I mean, really, they've increased the value of Marauders, right? Marauders were good value before. Now you get crystals on top of that. So I can see why if the value goes up, the AP cost goes up. I'd rather it not, right? Like as a player, like just don't do that, right? But even still, I can see why they're doing that, because also it's like, well, what's the point in even having barbarians then? Just delete all the barbarians during Marauders, because if they cost the same amount, there's literally no point in attacking barbs, right? So I kind of get it, even though it's just like I kind of want to just be greedy and have my cake and eat it too. So okay, we got a half improvement here, I guess. We got a 1 step forward, 1 step back here. It is what it is. Heart of Desire event. The event timing has been revised to return before zone 5. Okay, cool. We love to see that. All right, so we've got 2 of these things are being changed to what the poster wanted. One of them they said literally no, and the other one said yes, but. All right, so okay, I think that's a decent answer. I think we're like 70% there. So okay, I'll take it. Home Kingdom / Pre-KVK experience optimization. KVK tech in Home Kingdom. Crystal tech should last till next pre-KVK. Everyone will benefit from this. You can farm extra resources with the extra marches, use KVK tech to 0 deadweights, etc. Answer: we apologize that currently we have no plans to extend the duration of crystal tech for now, as it is a seasonal feature and it is designed to expire at the end of the season. However, we understand players' desire for an improved preparation experience and have plans to enhance the pre-season phase in the future. We will take player feedback into account when making optimizations, though they may not exactly match your suggestion. The current design direction is as follows. At the end of KVK, a new shop will open where players can purchase buffs that can be used for a limited time during the Home Kingdom period, which is based on their KVK performance. Please stay tuned for updates in future patch notes. Okay, I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, really, I think the main reason they don't do this is because literally all of the events in the game are tuned to the current level of maximum buffs in the game, right? Like you think about Silk Road, Karak Ceremony, Arms Training Lohar, like all these events, the difficulty of those events are sort of tuned to be in line with like what number of stats you're supposed to have in Home Kingdom. Now that's why when you're in KVK, those events become a lot easier, right? Actually, I don't know about Arms Training Lohar. I don't actually do that event. And with the newest implementation of the Kingdom Select themes, it's kind of pointless to even do that event, by the way. Also, this skin is horrible. Like if I know this is a little bit of a side tangent here, but like this is garbage. All the Kingdom Select themes are total garbage. Nobody asked for these. This is horrible for the game. They should literally unironically just delete them. Like this is disgusting. The power creep here is just so stupid. And anyone, if you think about this for 2 seconds, like you can extrapolate this out into 2 years from now. I hate this. There's no upside to 99% of players to have this. Awful design, just awful beautiful design. Okay, and on top of that, things like the Phoenix Pavilion make it so that way if you're free to play, you will never win the arms training Lohar event if there's a certain number of players with this in your kingdom, right? Like straight up, this is a cheat code. This is actually pay to win in the weirdest way possible, right? Because you just heal your units and then you just win, right? So yeah, I know I haven't talked about this in an entire video yet, but the kingdom select city skins actually just suck for 99% of players. I know why they implemented them, but like it's just comically stupid. Okay, anyway, all that to say, I can see why they're not doing this, but I am interested to see what these new buffs are. Talking about the crystal mine, during KVK when it is wartime, I am focused on fights and I rarely check my city besides to heal troops. When production buildings are full, the resource icons turn a beige color to collect them, but could you please do this for the crystal mine too, so that way players are aware when it has stopped production and is full too. During the ending times of KVK, the mine sometimes only takes 15 or so hours to fill up. Sometimes fights are longer and I forget to check it. I think this would be a small yet positive change. Thank you for your valuable feedback. A relevant plan has already been formulated and we plan to implement this suggested change in upcoming versions. The exact release date has not been determined, so please refer to further patch notes for updates. Okay, great. They're just talking about this icon right here. They're just like, yeah, when this is full, can you turn this beige so we know that it's full? This is a micro optimization for me. I have like ADHD or something, so I am constantly like, every time I come into my city, I'm collecting resources because I never want to be full on anything, right? So I'm like constantly collecting them. So yeah, I mean, this is not going to affect me whatsoever, but it is cool. This is a nice change. I think a lot of people are going to like. Multi-speed up option, just like in Call of Dragons, please add the option to use multiple speed ups at once in Rise of Kingdoms. In Call of Dragons, there's a feature that automatically uses the best combination of speed ups from highest to lowest, so you don't have to scroll and manually select each one. This makes things a lot faster and easier. Adding a similar system to Rock for trading, healing, building, and research would improve the overall experience. Answer: we will be making adjustments and the specific implementation plan is still under discussion. Please stay tuned for further announcements. This is really good stuff here. I've always been annoyed by the fact that, for example, with training, right? I come in here, I click the speed up option. Why isn't there just a button to instantly use the optimal number of speed ups, right? Like, why isn't that a thing? That would be fantastic. It's annoying to go in and do that. And I think the answer is that if it makes it faster to train without that button, then it kind of diminishes the value of some of the reserves, right? If you can very quickly with the tap of one button speed up your entire training facility with the perfect optimal number of speed ups every single time, well, think about how quickly, for things like Zenith of Power, think about how quickly you could like run through and train, you know, thousands and thousands even without using the sort of reserve items here, right? That's my guess, right? And I'm not saying that's why it's implemented. I'm not saying that's even a logical, you know, a conclusion to arrive at, but that's my only guess as to why this is a thing. It's because they have items in here, and like, don't forget, some of these items are in bundles and are like rewards for things, right? So the developers want these items to still maintain a certain number of value, and if you have a button that just instantly speeds things up perfectly every time, then these kind of lose value. That's my assumption. I don't actually know, but either way, it doesn't matter because it looks like they are making adjustments. So cool, fantastic. We'd love to see that. Keep crystals in items. I suggest that if an account does not teleport into the Lost Kingdom at the start of KVK, that they can keep their earned crystals that are in the items. Currently, they are automatically opened to start a KVK. If a governor is waiting to migrate or isn't able to contribute to a KVK, they should be able to keep the crystals they earned from their last KVK. The game should wait to automatically open the crystal items after they teleport into the KVK map. Their answer is, we will consider making the corresponding adjustments to allow players who are on vacation status to keep their crystals. That's fantastic. We love to see that. This is logical, right? I mean, like, that's how this should work. KVK burden reduction. Here are some suggestions here. Okay, reduce healing costs for both tier 4 and tier 5 by a large percentage for both resources and speed ups, and drastically increase the return percent after KVK. Okay, this is asking a lot, and I feel like this suggestion comes up like every couple of months. There's somebody else asking about this. Scale up the rewards across the board drastically, especially for post season of conquest. They need a big buff. Alter the help mechanics pertaining to healing troops. Buff the number and level of speed ups for barbs and fort drops. Double the size of resource nodes capacity. They've done this before, and make them equal to resource quantity for each type, or a combination of all. So like, what, you get like food, wood, stone, and gold all from one node? I don't know. Truly find it ironic you talk about trying to reduce burden, but rarely address the biggest burden for players as being forced to run farms, which is a laborious and mundane task. This is actually true. They're actually spitting here. They're actually, this is kind of based, and they are right about this. Let's see what the answer is. We have noted the issues you mentioned and are currently prioritizing efforts to address them. We are currently considering introducing of a new shop named TBD where players can exchange acclaim for healing potions. This shop would refresh periodically, have exchange limits, and allow the healing potions to be used directly for troop healing. The specific implementation is still under design. Please stay tuned for further updates. Okay, so yeah, I mean, realistically, like, they were asking a lot here, and the truth was they were never gonna play ball with this. It just wasn't gonna happen. But we are getting healing potions, so I guess that's fine. I mean, we already have healing potions in the game in certain KVKs, so introducing an exchange, you know, an acclaim exchange feature for potions, I think that's cool. We'll have to wait and see how this actually works, but this is a good thing overall. PvE farming experience optimization, permanent PvE/farming kingdoms. I think it would be awesome if you created a set of infinite farmer kingdoms. Especially, you would set up some number of kingdoms, or perhaps have some kingdoms opt in to become this kind of kingdom that are PvE only. They never enter KVK pool. They have a permanent open cap, and migration into the kingdom would not cost any passports, but possibly limited by cooldown, and they only farm and do PvE events there. Once there, you should also have easier access to passports and or a discounted/free migration when you are ready to migrate to a fighting kingdom. Their answer is, we are currently working on improving farming/PvE experience. Please stay tuned for further updates on specific solutions. Okay, so yeah, this suggestion, I don't really know, like, what, I don't understand the function of this, right? Like, I mean, if you're playing a war game and then you're going to go to a kingdom where you literally have zero war ever without the even possibility of conflict, it's like, what I don't, it just feels like maybe this isn't the game for you, right? Like, I don't know. I get where they're coming from, right? Like, some people just want to chill, right? Like, some people just want to take some time and chill out and not have to worry about, like, because let's be real, like, in off season there are still requirements, right? Like, you know, a lot of kingdoms, they still want you to do the one troop fort builds every day. They still want you to do a certain number of forts, barbarian forts every day. They still want you to do, you know, this, that, and the other thing. So I can understand why some players, you know, if you've been playing for a while, maybe you're burnt out and you just want to go to a kingdom where you could just like log in every day, play the events, and log off and not have to worry about literally anything. I get the appeal in that, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, that kind of like defeats the purpose of the entire game, right? So I don't know. I get where they're coming from here. I don't see why they would ever implement this solution, but it is nice to see that they are improving farming in PvE. All right, final thing here, timeline visibility of KVK stories. Here's the suggestion. As a kingdom officer, one of the biggest challenges we face during KVK signup is comparing and coordinating timelines for our kingdom members. Right now, Rock doesn't provide any built-in way to view or compare these timelines, particularly for fights, so kings and officers have to manually track everything ourselves using external spreadsheets. This creates a lot of extra workload for leadership, especially when we're trying to align with members and plan our kingdom strategy. Every season we're juggling screenshots, spreadsheets, messages, and manually checking details that the game already has access to. This is true. This is a big true. Okay, by suggestion, please add an in-game feature that displays each KVK story's timeline/dates during the registration process. This would make it much easier to compare stories, coordinate, and make informed decisions without creating unnecessary jobs for the people who volunteer to lead or build spreadsheets. It would massively improve quality of life for leadership and ultimately help kingdoms choose more enjoyable KVK experiences. True, big true. This is a great suggestion. Thank you for your detailed suggestion. We plan to implement changes based on your feedback. The specific release version has not been determined, so please stay tuned for future updates. That is fantastic. We love to see this. This is very good stuff here. The amount of time and effort that kingdom leaders have to spend just to make KVKs enjoyable for everybody else is truly insane. And like, when we talk about something like KVK timeline, like, the game already know, as this says, the game already knows what the timeline is. Just share it with the players, right? And I know there's like a little bit of variability, but still, like, just this is good. I'm glad that they're implementing this, and that is it. So guys, that is going to do it for the dev feedback October through December. So that is the last couple of months of last year. Let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comment section below. Did they touch on things that are important to you, or do you think that they didn't really address some of the core issues? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you made it to the end of the video, consider dropping a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel a ton. And you guys might think you're subscribed because you've seen a lot of my videos, but you're actually not. Double check down below.